Good morning everybody. كل عام وانتم بخير. من العايدين والفايزين إن شاء الله. نعاد علينا وعليكم بالخير والمسرات. Today's lecture.
31.
كم؟ 31. Okay. لا ما هي 31. Okay. Last time we talked about diodes. You remember the diode? What did we say about the diode? It's a device that has the ability to control the flow of current, okay? And we said the diode is made of semiconductor material, and this semiconductor material has some characteristics that we explained in last lecture. We played the video that have the ability to create an electric field where positive electrons and negative electrons stay with each other. If you apply a positive voltage, the electrons and the positive electrons and the negative electrons will create a gap. If you apply, will allow the current to flow. If you apply a negative voltage, they will create a gap. So what's the key? If you apply a negative voltage, they will create a gap, and no current will flow if you apply a negative voltage. Last time we talked about the regions of operation, okay? So how many regions of operation we have? 3 regions: forward bias, reverse bias, and breakdown. Forward bias, if you apply just a little bit above 0.7 volt, you will allow whatever current to flow. So if you apply 1 volt, whatever current the system allows, it will flow. If you apply a voltage up to minus 10 volt, it will block the current. Only small current will leak. If you break down, apply a big negative voltage, we will break down and the current will flow, okay? And what did we say about the diode? It's similar to a one-way valve. A one-way valve. It allows the flow of electrons in one direction, but it blocks it from flowing the other direction. Okay? Today we will talk about a very simple equation, though I do not think it's very important. We call it Shockley equation. Shockley equation, it basically explains the relationship between ID and VD in the forward bias region. So do you see, this looks like what? Exponential, right? Just above 0.7 volt, the current increases exponentially. Depending on where to connect the diode, it could be 2 milliamp, it could be 5 milliamp, but what matters to us is as long as there is enough voltage, some current will flow. Okay, let me check the camera. Yeah, it's working. And the equation consists of the expression IS times exponential of VD over NVT minus 1. Okay? So what is IS? IS is what we call the saturation current. Saturation current has a value in the order of 10 to minus 14 for a small signal junction diode at 300 Kelvin. How many degrees Celsius? 300 Kelvin?
23.
27? 27? Somewhere around 25, okay? The parameter N, which is this number, N, it can be either 1 or 2, okay? Depending on the device structure, okay? It should be given in the equation. The last quantity is the value of VT, which we call it the thermal voltage, which is a multiplication of 3 numbers, K times T over Q. So what is T? T is the temperature in Kelvin. Remember, you have to convert from degrees Celsius to Kelvin. What is the value of K? K is what we call it Boltzmann constant. Have you ever seen Boltzmann constant in mechanical engineering? You're familiar with it, right? So what is it? It's 1.38 times 10 to minus 23 joules per Kelvin. The last quantity is the number Q, which is the charge of electron, which is 1.6 times 10 to minus 19. If there is a question that will come regarding this equation, it will be just direct substitution. Maybe it will ask you what's the value of VD given ID, IS, N, and VT, okay? I'm assuming you should be able to solve it. If you want to solve it for VD, that's the equation. It's NVT ln ID over IS plus 1. So, inshallah, we will bring those two equations in the formula sheet in the final exam. Okay? You can get rid of minus 1 if you have several tenths of a volt, maybe 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. You can approximate it to this expression, which is easy to be coded or calculated by a calculator. So any question about Shockley equation? So what's the benefit of Shockley equation? It allows us to calculate only the forward bias region, the relationship between VD and ID, which is what? Exponential. This equation does not take into consideration if you connect the diode to resistors. Get it? Okay. Now, let's talk about ideal diode model. So anything before that was what? Physics. Now we will talk about circuit analysis. What did we say about the diode? We said the diode is a device that should have plus and minus VD with a current flowing from the anode to cathode. We call it what? ID. Okay? It is a multi-state device. Now, for the first time, a device can have two shapes in a circuit. In the ideal diode model, اللي هو المثالي, we only have either a short circuit or open circuit. Let me repeat. For 9.4, the ideal diode should have only two shapes. Shape number 1, open circuit. Shape number 2, short circuit. If we have an open circuit case, plus minus VD should be less than 0. And because it's an open circuit, ID equal to 0. Get it? No current will flow through the diode. This is state number 1. State number 2, the same device can behave as a short circuit where VD equal to what?
0.
What's the voltage drop across a short circuit?
0.
Major is Saturday. What's the voltage drop across a short circuit? 0. What is ID? Well, will be greater than 0. Some positive current. Get it? Okay, how many states the diode can take?
2.
This is the hardest part in the material, the diode. So please try to understand it very well. What did we say about the first state? Two conditions. VD should be less than 0. The current should be 0. Or VD should be 0 and the current should be larger than 0. So this state that we call the D is off, here we call the diodes is on. Get it? So it's either on or off. In the future, the non-ideal diode model, it will be a battery and a resistor. But for now, let's pretend it's just a short circuit. In the exam, if he asks you an ideal diode model, you have to treat it using short circuit. If he doesn't specify, it means it's not an ideal diode model. So you can plot it as long as VD is negative, I is 0. But once VD is 0, I is larger than 0, depending on the circuit. There is no situation where we have VD is positive. Does this curve pretend Is it similar to this curve?
No. Yes.
Yeah. Can we say this curve is somehow close to that, صح? Later we will show you what's the other case, okay? So how to solve a circuit with a diode? Always remember, step-by-step guide. That's very important. Jihad, are you tired? If you're tired, والله عادي. Utilize your time more efficiently, okay? Rather you to sleep. بحضرك. أنت جيت متأخر بحضرك. If you want to leave. والله. أنت وقت نصار. جيت متأخر صح؟ Okay? You have to watch YouTube. Okay? So the first, now you have to, what's the key word here? Ideal diode, okay? How many steps we have? Assume, analyze, and check. You have to assume. So you have to, in your circuit, you have to say the word assume. Maybe we say diode 1 is off, diode 2 is on. Maybe we say diode 1 is on, diode 2 is off. Maybe we say what? Diode 1 is off, diode 2 is off. Maybe we say what? Diode 1 is on, diode 2 is on. How many cases? If you have two diodes? 2 to the power 2. If you have one diode, how many assumptions you make?
2.
If you have 2 diodes?
4.
If you have 3 diodes? 8. I don't think that we will have 4 diodes. The maximum we will have is 3 diodes, okay? Inshallah, I don't know. So you have to assume a state for each diode, either on or off. If it's on, you replace it with what? Short circuit. If it's off, you replace it with what? Open circuit. So how many circuits you need to draw if you have 2 diodes? 4 circuits. How many? Well, not really. إذا مشت معك من أول circuit ولا من ثاني circuit حلو. ممكن تمشي معك. I'll give you a good hint عشان تمشي معك من أول مرة. Okay? The hint is, if you want to make an assumption, try to align the anode of the diode with the higher voltages and the cathode of the diode with the lower voltages. واضح عبد الرحمن? Why we say that? Because if you have a high voltage, most likely it will turn the diode on. If you have a low voltage at the anode, most likely it will turn it what? So you have to start with the smart guess. Okay? And I will solve some simple examples. Then, yes?
How about current? Can I know it's holds or liquid?
No. The tip I told you about the assumption, it's about the voltages. Okay? If the voltage is positive, يعني أنت بتشوف هو وين بيكون مكانه أكثر موجب. وين بيكون مكانه أكثر سالب. I will show you by example. So, voltages is better way to get a smart assumption. Step number 2, do circuit analysis. KVL, KCL, node voltage. Most likely it's simple KVL analysis. Now you have to calculate in the blue the current through the diode. And you have to calculate the voltage across the diode. In green, the blue and green. Why? We need to verify if VD is less than 0, ID is 0, or VD is 0 and ID is, this is larger than 0, okay? Okay? What's the last step? Check the conditions. Check if things make sense or not. So how many steps we have, Mishal? Analyze? No, assume. Step number 2, analyze. Step number 3, assume, analyze, and check. So what do we check? Check if the results are consistent with the assumed state for each diode. Basically, you check these conditions. current must flow in the forward direction, must flow from positive to negative, from the anode to the cathode. المصعد إلى المهبط. You remember this in high school? You remember it? المصعد والمهبط. Who did study high school in English? It's better for him. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong. If you study the high school textbooks, most likely the freshman is nothing but a repetition, صح? Do you agree with me? If you study the high school textbook, ما في ملخصات، ما في العبد الكريم، ما في الأشياء هذه. عبد الكريم باقي موجود؟ أوكي. بس على وقتي ما تغير. The freshman and some of the sophomore courses will be much easier to do. That's why they say high school is the base. حكوميات أحسن من الأهلية بالمناسبة. That's my theory. صح؟ صح؟ حكومية صح؟ من تخرج أهلية؟ 3 5 Was it a good investment?
Yes, go.
أي مدرسة؟
الإعداد الأهلي.
أوكي. وصل الله.
الجواب. تبع مهم.
دراسة ثانوية مع بعض. You want to know a funny story? My friend, that he was my roommate. We did high school together. كان طاولتي وراه. Now he's with industrial engineering. مبتعث يدرس دكتوراه. والله شيء مضحك يعني. والثاني من جامعة الملك سعود. كنا بفصل واحد. Okay. Oh, we have a number 4 step. If the results are consistent, the analysis is finished. Otherwise, go back to change your assumptions. Okay? Assume, analyze, check. Let's do it. So what is this? Battery. DC or AC?
DC.
What is this? What is this? Okay. Now, the tip I told you in Turkey is you have to look at what's the voltage here? +2. So what do you think higher the voltage, here or here?
On the left.
Doesn't matter. Here or here?
Oh.
Here is -2, here is +2. The potential difference is +2. So most likely we have a higher voltage here that will ignite the diode. So a smart assumption is assume D1 is on.
ما فهمت يا دكتور.
طيب انت الحين لو قلبت البطارية زي الحالة هذه بيصير السالب أقرب للأنود والموجب أقرب للكاثود. فأحسن لك تسوي assumption إن هذا off لأن عنده negative voltage. هنا تسوي assumption إن هذا on لأن عندك relatively positive voltage يعني الموجب حق البطارية أقرب للأنود من الكاثود. هنا السالب حق البطارية أقرب للأنود من الكاثود. That's why to solve the first example the diode is not included in the major exam, okay? Unfortunately. So 1, 2, 3. So what should we assume? صادق, what should we assume? D1 is on or off? This is a separate example, only this set.
On.
Why? It's not the positive لأن حنا نحس إن البطارية تعطي موجب للأنود أكثر من الكاثود. نحس ممكن يكون غلط الله أعلم. فوات do we assume? Diode on or off?
On.
Okay, if the diode is on, what's the equivalent circuit? Short circuit. So don't forget to put VD here, okay? We have 1 kilo, we have 2 volts. What is ID? What What is ID? This circuit.
So maybe.
2 over 1.
Well, it's very simple. ID is 2 over 1 kilo. V equal IR, which is 2 milliampere. What's step number 2? So we assume diode 1 is on. Check. What do we check? Is ID greater than 0? What is VD? Well, VD you can use KVL. Clearly it's a short circuit, 0. But if you do KVL, it's minus 2, or it's plus 2 voltage rise, minus VD, minus 1K times 2 milli equals 0. So 2 minus VD minus 2 equals 0. So VD is what? 0. So condition number 2 or 1 is satisfied. Because of that, oh, I forgot. Check is here. Here, analyze. We did the analysis here. We're doing the check here. So 2 conditions are satisfied. We don't have any issue. No need to do the second assumption. Let's say for some reason جهاد قال لنا لا أنا أبغى أسوي الاسsumption D1 is off. Can we do D1 is off? Let's try. Jihad, when we say diode 1 is off, what should we replace it with? Open circuit. So let's replace it with what? Open circuit. Okay. If we replace it with open circuit, what will happen? What is ID? 0. What is VD?
2 volts.
No?
No,
Yeah, you're right. VD we do KVL. So it's going to be voltage rise plus 2 minus VD minus 1 ID equals 0. ID is 0, صح? So VD is what? 2. Okay, is it less than 0? Is 2 volt less than 0?
No.
Wrong. Because this condition is not satisfied, the assumption is not correct. Get it?
لو عكست البلس والماينس يكون معي غلط.
You're not allowed انك تعكسها، لازم على الانود والكاثود. تمشي على الانود positive والكاثود negative. الكاثود اللي عليه خط. You cannot flip it. If you flip it, you will mess up everything. So what are the metrics? Matrices. وش جمع matrix? matrices. مصفوفة. لا matrix. matrices. ما أدري والله. ما أعرف. لا مو مصفوفة. matrix يعني معيار. Okay. إيش هي المعايير? VD and ID. Those are the 2 quantities you try to find in using the analysis. And what's the last step, Abdurrahman? Check. You check against the conditions. Okay?
Criteria.
Criteria, matrices, indices. I don't care. واضح? So let's try to solve this example. But I have to erase. I'm going to keep the original.
I have a question.
Yes.
احنا نعتبر هذه one valve صح؟
I don't like to use the word valve. Let's use diode.
But what will happen if the voltage is too high? It will be always open?
It depends. If it's too high negative, we may reach a breakdown region, but we will not cover it today. If it's too high positive, we don't care. It doesn't matter. In reality, if you apply too much voltage, the diode will burn off. In reality, too much يعني عندك السيركت فيها 10 volt, you apply 50 volt. If you look at the data sheet of any diode, they will tell you how much, what's the highest voltage, what's the smallest voltage, etc. Let's look at this circuit. We have -3. Well, let me use our old school minus plus. بالميجر يا شباب ممكن يجيكم بطاريات مقلوبة زي الأولد في الأوب أمب. الأولدات فيها بطاريات مقلوبة. If you see battery like this, what's the voltage? It means it's -3, okay? So here I'm saying +3 because the polarity is like this. You can replace it with a battery upside down with a voltage of -3. And we have a diode, now we have a resistor, and we have the diode. Plus minus VD, ID, okay? 2K plus minus ID. So what do you think the assumption we should use? If we assume the diode is off, that's the smart, what will happen? Replace it with open circuit. What's the voltage here? 3. What's the current? 0. So is the first condition satisfied? Yes.
Yes.
What is VD? Clearly, VD is -3. Is it less than 0?
Yes.
So is ID 0?
Yes.
So two conditions are correct. The voltage drop is negative. The current is 0, so the assumption is correct. So the status of diode 2, it is off. Let's say someone else said, I want to have it on. Let's do the analysis. Okay, who will do the analysis? Ibrahim. تعال. تعال. لا تستحي. تعال. طيب تعال هنا ما تبغى الكاميرا تعال هنا. طيب استني. If I'm saying diode number 2 is on, what should I replace it with?
Short circuit.
Short circuit. And what should be the polarity? Plus minus VD, صح?
Yes.
Okay, what is the value of ID?
V ID.
A.
V over R.
V over R. What is V? -3. Over 2K. -3 over 2K is -1.5 milliamp. Okay. Is ID greater than 0?
No.
No, it is less than 0. One condition failed. So here we have failed. So D2 is off. Our assumption is wrong. لو لاحظتوا في المثالين لما كانت البطارية أقرب للموجب على الدايد اشتغل. لما كانت البطارية للسالب أقرب على الأنود طفت. Now the question is, now this is the solution that we just did. Read it. You have to read it, okay? Similar example, we have 5 volts here. 5 volts, VD is 0. I is 5 over 2.5 is 2.5 milliamp. So what's the status? The diode on or off?
On.
The diode here, is it on or off?
On.
It's on, short circuit. Now, if I flip the diode, what's the correct assumption?
Off.
The diode is off. Why? Because the cathode is closer to the positive. So it has to be an open circuit. What's VD if it's an open circuit? minus, well, VD, the polarity here is plus minus, but you should make it plus minus, okay? Plus at the bottom, minus at the top. Then VD will be what? Minus 5. Then the diode will be off. It will satisfy that. So please, in your notes, I think this should be, okay, do it this way. And VD is what? Minus 5. Now, we will satisfy the condition, the diode is off. من النظر. If you have one diode, it's easy. The problem comes if you have two diodes.
If we have connections.
Later. Here, we have VD, well, the polarity is reversed. But anyway. VD, the battery here is negative, closer to the anode, so the diode should be off. If the diode is off, what is VD? VD should be like this, positive, negative. Fix it, okay? I don't like it. So what's VD? Positive, negative, negative. VD is what? I is U.
Minus 5.
So, minus 5. So the diode here is off. So diode off. Here diode on. Here off. Okay, let's go to the last example. Positive, positive, negative, negative. The diode is on. So short circuit. The polarity is correct. The current is what? 2 milliamp. 5 over 2.5 is 2 milliamp. So this circuit, similar to this circuit. It is very similar, except we change the resistor location. So those are the four cases for ideal diodes. On, off, off, on. Fix the polarities here, okay? Always the polarity of VD should be what? Plus, minus. Plus, minus. The anode is plus, the cathode is? Minus. So, once you revise this example and the previous two examples, you should be able to deal with one diode examples. Let's say we have two diodes. Similar to this example. How many circuits we need to solve? 2 to the power number of diodes. 4. A smart student like you will say, let me look. This is positive, negative. Most likely this diode is on. This is plus 3. This is 10. Let's say there is some voltage drop here. Maybe the voltage here is 7. If the voltage here is 7 and the voltage here is 3, this should be off. If the voltage here is 10, maybe this is 7 here, this should be on. هذا الطالب الفاهم. الطالب اللي ما يخسر وقت في الامتحان بيقعد يجرب. So let's trust our analysis. البطارية هنا عالية 10. Even if there is a voltage drop here, maybe it's 5, still higher than 3. Get it? So D2 should be off, D1 should be on. No need to waste time. Let's do it.
دكتور
Yes.
هو ليش بالاساس يكون اثنين اللي واحد يكون اوف
Because in rectifiers you connect diodes together. بيطفى واحد بيشتغل واحد في الساينوسويدال سيجنال عشان في الساينوسويدال لما واحد يطفى الثاني يشتغل والثاني يشتغل والاول يطفى عشان الساينوسويدال. بس في الدي سي we're doing it for learning. In reality يحطونهم عكس بعض عشان في الاي سي واحد يغطي الموجب وواحد يغطي السالب.
كم بدل اليمين 3 فولت رقم قريب للعشرة اي 19
ممكن يكون هنا اثنين الله العالم ما ندري احنا نخمن. احنا قاعدين نخمن حاط لك 10 هنا حاط لك 3 هنا ممكن في النص هنا يصير في فولتج دروب يطلع هنا 7 وهنا 3 هذا لازم يطفى. لما تعطي الكاثود اعلى من الانود لازم يطفى. But let's do this analysis. What's our assumption? D1 is, Jihad, D1 is on. D2 is off. So step number 1, assume. What's our assumption? D1
It's on.
on. D2
It's off.
off. Step number 2, analysis. Let's do the analysis. 10, 4, replace it with short circuit, صح?
Yes.
6, replace it with open circuit, صح?
Yes.
So here we have ID2 plus minus VD plus minus VD. Here we have ID1 plus minus. Here plus minus. Here we have another current. What's the current here, Shabab? It's ID1 plus ID2, صح? We can call it I3. We have 10 volts. We have the 4 kilo ohm. We have the 6 kilo ohm. We have ID1 goes from the anode to cathode. ID2 goes from anode to cathode. We have 3 volts here. We replace this with open circuit. This with what? Short circuit. So let's do step number 2, the analysis, صح? What's our goal from analysis? Get ID1, ID2, VD1, VD2, صح?
Yes.
What's the last step? Check. What do we check? Check those. If they match the conditions here. Okay? Okay, what is ID2? What is ID1? Because this is an open circuit, ID1 is simply what? 10 over 4 plus 6. 10 over 4K plus 6K. What's the answer? 1 milliamp. So what is VD? 1. 0. Short circuit. What is VD2?
Minus.
Well, we have to do KVL here. So let's do a KVL here. What's the current that goes through the 6 kilo ohm? It's actually ID1, which is 1 milliamp. So what is V6 kilo ohm? It's 6 times 1. 6 kilo times 1 milli, it's 6 volts.
6 volts.
Okay, so do KVL here. I want to start here. Voltage rise plus V6.
Minus.
Voltage rise. Voltage rise.
Minus.
VD2. Voltage drop.
Minus.
Minus 3.
So what is VD2?
Minus
6 minus 3 is 3. Okay, it's minus 3. Is it less than 0?
Yes.
Is ID2 0? Two conditions satisfied. Is ID1 greater than 0?
Yes.
Is VD1 0?
Yes.
4 conditions are satisfied. Then this circuit is correct. We have 5 minutes. Let's say another student didn't listen to the first hint I told you and said, I want to have D1 open circuit, D2 short circuit. Means D1 is off, D2 is on. What will happen? I am not going to draw the circuit, but I will analyze it with you here because the circuit is drawn for you here. So this is the wrong assumption.
The voltage with the resistance.
So this is open circuit. What is ID2? 3 over 6, half milliamp. Half milliamp. What is VD1? VD1 equals 10 minus VD1 minus 3. If you do a KVL,
minus 13.
if you do a KVL here, voltage rise plus 10 minus VD1 minus 6 times 3 half equals 0. So what is VD1? 10 minus 3 plus 7. It's larger than 0. This contradicts the condition. So immediately you say wrong assumption. Stop. Wrong assumption. Is it clear? Now this is written explanation of what we just explained. Let me repeat one more time. Is this circuit correct or this circuit correct? The second one. Can you calculate the current immediately? Yeah, it's 10 over 4 plus 6. It's 1 milliamp. Then you need to go verify all the 4 conditions. If one is violated, the circuit is wrong. Go to the next assumption. In the slides, it asks you to show what if either both on or either both off. If either both off, what will happen? Open circuit, open circuit. So ID is 0 satisfied. But I guarantee you, if this is on, the voltage here is 10 volt applied on D1. If this is on, no current. 10 will be applied to D1, and this is larger than 0. So VD1 will be larger than 0. So one violation, this assumption is wrong. If you assume both are short circuit, you have to do node voltage analysis and you have to calculate the current, but you will notice either VD1 or VD2, one of them has a negative voltage. So this, for example, assume D1 and D2 are both on. We actually got, what did we get? We get a negative current. For ID2, we got a negative current. So the assumption is wrong. So the only true assumption is D1 is on, D2 is off. So if both D1 and D2 are off, what will happen? We will have a VD1 is going to be 10 volt. It's not less than 0. This is a violation. If both are on, we will have ID2 to be a negative, which is a violation of the condition of both are on. Okay? With that, next lecture we will do the quick checkpoint and move to 9.5. Please, regardless, I know you have a major exam. When you go tonight at home, study the diode, okay? Study the diode. Any question about the diodes? Okay.